Hello, Scottsdale. We're back with another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don and Kevin. Kevin, how you doing?
Good to see you. I've seen you for...
Yeah, it's been a couple hours anyway, huh?
I know, right?
Yeah. We had a nice week. We had a nice weekend together.
We did. We had a lot of fun.
That was fun. In the TP golf tournament up in Prescott, we just had a blast up there.
Yeah, you did really well, bud.
I did pretty good. Yeah, once in a while, I guess the beginner gets some beginner's luck, right?
Yeah.
And so we won a bunch of money and a couple of first places here and there and second place here and there, and it was a bunch of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Glad you came.
Prescott in the summertime's not too bad either. Well, speaking of summertime, we got a hot guest here today, and her name is Jenny Adams, and she's with the Scottsdale Community Partners. Jenny is the executive director of that organization. It's a nonprofit group based here in Scottsdale. It supports residents in need through a variety of programs and services. And Jenny has held this position since September of 2015. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
She oversees the organization's day-to-day operations and program management. You got your hands full, don't you?
Got my hands full, but it's all good work.
Before we get into what's in your hands, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Who are you, Jenny Adams?
So I have been in the Valley for 20 years now. I actually was born and raised in Montana.
Oh, Montana.
Central Montana. Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Whereabouts in
part of the
Montana?
country. Central, Great Falls.
Okay. My kids just moved up to Kalispell.
Oh, yeah. Much more beautiful than Great Falls.
Yeah.
Great Falls is kind of the plains, but
Yeah.
still quite nice.
Beautiful country.
Yeah. So I went to school there, went to college there, did all of that, and then I fell in love with a local boy in the Mesa area.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And so I
All
moved down
downhill
here.
from there.
Yep, I moved down here 20 years ago, and here we are. 3 kids later, here we are.
Congratulations on 3 kids. What did you do when you first got down here?
So when I first got down here, I was working for Girl Scouts, actually, of Big Sky Council. I worked for them in Montana as well, and so then I came down here and took a job with Girl Scouts. I was there in total for about 15 years, and then one of my volunteers at Girl Scouts said, hey, I'm on the board of this local nonprofit. We're looking to hire an executive director. Are you interested in something like that? And I was like, you bet. And I went through a bunch of interviews and got hired.
I was going to ask you how you got here.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be in the right place. It's a small town, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, people just know each other, and that's how things
Yeah.
get done around
That's
here,
right.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So your role, it's been there for, almost 10 years.
Almost
10
10
years, going on 10 years.
Yes.
How has it changed since you first got there?
Oh boy, there's been a lot of changes. When I first came on board, they were kind of a struggling little tiny nonprofit with a budget of about $175,000 a year. The nonprofit itself has been around for 50 years. Frances Young, a community member in Scottsdale, you knew Frances, yeah. She decided that there was a big need for human services in Scottsdale and started pressing on the city to do something. And the city said, okay, but you have to help us. So she founded this little nonprofit. And we have been in partnership with the city for 50 years. It'll be 50 years in September is our anniversary. Yeah. So when I first started, it was pretty small. We were just doing, about a fourth of what we do now. Now our annual budget is about $1.4 million.
That's some growth.
And yeah, it's been a wild ride. And we are very involved in a lot of the city's human services programs in particular.
So talk some more about that. Give us an overview of what you all do
Sure.
and who you serve.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have 3 main areas of focus, family, youth, and seniors. So our family programs include things like rent and utility assistance, our holiday program, Adopt a Family. Then we have senior programs, which include things like the Adopt a Senior program, which is the holiday program for seniors. We have a brown bag program, which is a weekly food supplementation for seniors. We have Beat the Heat program coming up. That is a program where those folks in the community that have been identified as being in an at-risk situation get a visit from a social worker to kind of assess where they're at and get them any help if it's needed. And then we have our youth programs, which are Healthy Packs. Again, that's a weekly food pack for kids, about 400 kids in SUSD school district. And we have the Back to School program, where again this year we'll give clothing, shoes, supplies, all the goodies to about 1,000 Scottsdale Unified students.
Is that your signature event or one of your signature programs?
So,
Or is the weekly back the food?
the programs that I am most excited about always are Healthy Packs and Back to School.
Yeah.
Those programs that help the kids are really incredible. I also love our senior programs so much. People don't realize that a lot of our seniors in Scottsdale are, now retired, and the cost of their taxes and stuff is increasing and kind of pricing them out. So anything that we can do to help those two groups, I'm really proud of. We have the only food bank in Scottsdale located out of Vista del Camino.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm super proud of that as well.
That's a big one. We've known about some of these things in and out a little bit because you guys do such good work. It's hard to ignore you.
That's good.
And it's a shame that they're needed so much. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Yeah. So your services are growing then, I imagine.
So the services our services, particularly with seniors, are growing significantly. Scottsdale, I don't know if you know this or not, but Scottsdale is one of the oldest communities in the country.
We do know that, yeah.
Continues to age.
I don't exactly want to tout that one too
I know.
much, but you're right, it is.
But it brings up a need for seniors, definitely. So we're seeing those numbers explode. And we also are seeing a little bit of growth in some other numbers too.
Well, the seniors are sometimes hidden away a little bit because sometimes they're stuck in their houses.
Exactly.
They don't have a lot of cash, so maybe they're suffering a little bit, and some people don't have anybody to keep an eye out on them. So it's good that you're there for them, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to do.
So you work with the city. How does that partnership function? What's that all about? How does that work?
It's a really phenomenal relationship, and it's very symbiotic. So we have the power of the nonprofit, so the 501c3 status, so we can do contracts and things for them with agencies that would only contract out to a 501c3. So for instance, St. Mary's, we hold that contract. And then the city facilitates the logistics. So they handle the logistics of the programs. They have staff in place to run the programs to make sure they're happening. And then our board, we have what we call a working board. And our board comes in, there's 18 of them, and they provide about 2,000 hours a year to these programs.
That's a lot.
So then again, that's a cost savings for the city, right? Because that's less manpower that they have to provide to make sure that the programs go off without a hitch.
For sure. Kevin, are you on that board?
I'm not on that board.
How come you're not on that board? You're on just about every other board I know. How come you're not on that board?
Yeah, you never
That's
know,
funny.
right? Yeah.
Maybe we just planted a seed for you.
there you go.
He can kick me later
we
on,
know,
but
we know Denny Brown's on that board.
we do know
for
Denny
sure.
Brown's on that board.
Anyway, but how much funding do you get from the city as a percentage of your total budget?
So we get very small amount from the city. We actually are, the only funding we get from the city is participating in their competitive grant program, Scottsdale Cares.
Oh, okay.
Everything else we fundraise outside of them. That's where Denny Brown comes in. He's our fundraiser. He goes out and doesn't take no for an answer, as
He
you all
never
know.
does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when I am on the SUSD Foundation board,
I know you
and
are.
we and the Scottsdale Community Partners is one of our programs that we help fund.
Yeah.
Who are some of your bigger funders outside of the city then?
We have Hartford has been a big one over the years. Yardy Systems up in Scottsdale has been a huge funder for us over the years. Core Construction, Mercedes-Benz. We have phenomenal support from community organizations like Charos and all of those community kind of organizations, Elks, all of those folks, that come through for us. And then we get great support from our faith community, and we also get phenomenal support from Scottsdale citizens. Honestly, it's about 50% of what we bring in is individual donations.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Now, isn't one of your fundraising programs the Ali Ortega Bowls?
It is.
Talk about that a little bit.
In March, we do an event called the Ali Ortega Empty Bowls event. Empty Bowls is a national program. It's designed to show people that they come in and get a bowl and then a modest meal to go with it so that they can see what it's like to eat when you're in poverty. So once a year at the end of March, we hold this big event where we get all kinds of sponsors and folks come in, they make bowls, they paint bowls, we bring them in, and then we sell the bowls, and all the money benefits Human Services.
That's fantastic. I'm surprised that you get that much support from just regular citizens.
Yeah.
How do you that's obviously a good source for you. Do you market to that? How do you keep that going?
We do. So through our programs, we do a lot of marketing. We do a lot of social media. We also, that's an area where the city comes in and helps us. They tag us, we tag them. It's kind of a mutually beneficial situation. And then if corporations call, if people call, whoever calls and says, hey, I'd like to make a donation, they forward them out to us.
So can you share a moment, maybe a special moment, when you really realize the impact that you have on residents?
Yeah.
What's a personal story that sticks
So
with you?
one of my favorite stories is from the second day I was employed.
Going back 10 years.
Back 10 years. A gentleman and his wife walked in off of the street, and we got called up to the front desk at Vista del Camino. And he handed us a check for $500, and he said, last year at this time, we were really bad off. We had lost both of our jobs. We were in the process of losing our house. And your food bank kept us alive and kept us going.
Wow.
And he said, now we're settled, and we want to pay it forward.
Fantastic.
And I have to tell you, I still get goosebumps when I talk about it, because it's one of those things that I knew that day that aside from my children and my husband, this was going to be the most important thing I ever did in my life.
That's fantastic.
I guess it's bringing a tear to my eye thinking about that. You know,
Yeah.
Wow, that's when you know the impact is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you can see it in people like that who then respond accordingly later on when they're able to.
I have another favorite story.
Go for
hear
it.
it.
Yeah.
So we had a senior one year come in for the Adopt a Senior program, and she had lost her husband. She was young. She was a young senior. She was probably 55 or so, and had lost her husband the year before, and he was the only driver. And she couldn't afford insurance and all of that good stuff that goes with driving. So her sponsor purchased a bike for her. She asked for it. She thought, I'll never get this. And sure enough, it showed up on the wish list, and the sponsor said, absolutely, I'll buy that for her.
Oh, really?
Bringing that bike out to her, it was life-changing for her.
Yeah.
It seems like such a small thing, like a bike, but it meant her freedom to go to the grocery store, to do all of those things that we take for granted every day.
Wow. Now, we said her sponsor.
Yeah.
So every senior has a sponsor then, or?
Every senior that's enrolled in the Adopt a Senior program, and every child that's enrolled in the Adopt a Family program, gets a sponsor who then shops their wish list for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What would be the example? Well, obviously a bike's on the wish
Yeah.
list. What are some other examples of things that would be on the wish list then?
Honestly, the wish lists are fairly modest most of the time. We've had seniors. I had a senior one year who asked for new lenses for her glasses. And we didn't grant that wish because I said, that's crazy. Bring her in. We'll buy her the glasses. And then I want her to pick some things that she really wants.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of the lists are really just amazing. They're towels, blankets, sheets, just things that they do not have the extra money to purchase.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Basic things we take for granted, probably.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
For sure. So outside of those personal stories, which are awesome, how else do you measure success in terms of as you move forward and trying to gauge your impact in the community? How do you measure success?
So, I mean, we measure success in a lot of different ways. Obviously, we measure success in the numbers of people that we're helping. That's very important to us. We measure success in the anecdotal stories that we hear. We hear about people with the Healthy Packs program that are taking those couple of packs that their kids get and feeding their family for the weekend.
Wow.
I mean, that's hugely impactful. And then for me, I also measure it in, I am so proud of my board and the work that they do. I'm so proud of the number of hours that they invest in their community. I mean, that's not something that people just do, right? You have to really believe in what you're doing. And so to me, having taken that board from no volunteering to a couple thousand hours a year, that's a really big point of pride for me. And then also just for me, I mean, my children have grown up watching this philanthropy.
Yeah.
And, my son a couple of years ago got his first checking account. And the very first purchase he made was a bowl at Empty Bowls.
Ah.
Oh, nice.
So to me, that has been really important to instill philanthropy in my kids.
I read something, Kevin, the other day that said volunteers and board members and volunteers, ones who aren't getting paid, often are even more passionate about the cause that they're serving than the paid staffers are. Because there's volunteers, so it makes sense, doesn't it?
We know that to be true for sure.
We've seen that a little bit in some
Firsthand.
of the things we deal with as
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Absolutely.
We're both on the board of Family Promise, so we kind of run in parallel
nice.
universes
Yes,
a little bit. Do you
for
guys do
sure.
anything with Family Promise?
So we are in their universe because of the city. So
Sure.
we, have interacted in a lot of things through that. Yeah, for sure.
that makes sense.
Great program. Yeah.
It is, yeah. And again, these programs that we serve and we have passion for, we wish we didn't really need to have them.
Yeah.
But we do, so we have to take care of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Challenges. What are some of the big challenges that you're facing? Maybe nonprofits in general,
Yeah.
but what are your big obstacles out there?
I mean, our number one obstacle is always funding.
Always,
Always.
right?
There's
Yeah.
always more need than there are dollars. We try and be very fiscally responsible, and our partners at the city are also very fiscally responsible with the money that we bring in. So we try and keep our administrative costs as low as possible so that the vast majority of what we bring in goes out. But we, along with every other nonprofit in the country, is struggling. I mean, we need more money. We need more funding.
Sure do. Yeah.
And that's the only way, these programs, there are programs that I could grow today, but we just don't have the funding for it.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the size of your staff.
Sure.
And do you have some business development type folks doing full-time fundraising for you too?
No, we do not. We have, okay, so here's our staff. Yeah. This is the God's honest truth. Me, the executive director.
Okay.
And 4 years ago, we brought on Denny Brown as our fundraiser.
Okay.
But of course, he's passionate and works for almost next to nothing, really. Other than I buy him, a beer every time I get the opportunity.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Cold beer now and then.
And then just last summer, we, for the first time, hired an administrative assistant that works about 10 to 20 hours a week for me.
And do you guys have offices?
We do. Our offices are located out of Granite Reef now. We used to be at Vista Del Camino. Now we're at Granite Reef Senior Center.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right down the street from my house.
Yeah.
Talk a little about the Healthy Packs program that we mentioned a couple times. I know it's one of your staples. I know it's something you're most proud of, but I was just thinking that I know what it is. I'm familiar with what it is and how cool it is, but our audience may not. So let's revisit that a little bit about.
Yeah, so the Healthy Packs program is a weekly food bag. It is distributed. Well, first of all, the folks, the social workers at the schools, community specialists, sorry, I lost it for a minute. The community specialists at the schools identify kids that they suspect are the most at risk for being food insecure. So the ones that are most likely to go home and have empty cupboards and empty fridges.
And are these elementary school students, middle school students?
So currently we are doing K through 5 at 6 elementary schools, and then we have 2 junior highs and 1 high school that we're working with. Yes.
All in the south side of the city, or the
mostly in the south side of the city. We do have some. We've done some stuff up at Redfield.
Okay.
But mostly in the south part of the.
How do you? I'm going to let you finish your story about what it is.
And so, 400 kids a week get this pack of food. It's designed. It's not very much. It's It's like 2 meals, 2 snacks, 2 that kind of thing. Small bag. Volunteers come once a month to pack those. We do about 400 a week. They get distributed by the city. The city takes them to the school. The community specialist takes them, inserts them in the kids' packs so that nobody knows that they're Healthy Packs kids.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And where do they go? Inside the classroom and do it?
So it just depends on the community specialist. Some go in the classroom and distribute them. Some have the kids discreetly come to their office and distribute them. So it just depends on what they're doing at that particular school.
So they get 2 meals, like what those sandwiches in?
So what we try and do, everything that we put in the bag is shelf stable.
Okay.
So we can reserve those bags.
Okay, yeah. Pack them a month in advance.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And we actually have, about every 2 or 3 years, we have a nutritionist come in and take a look at them and say, yes, do this, no, don't do that. Most of the meals are designed to be, A, stuff that kids can cook easily, and B, stuff that can be stretched for a family. So one of our staples is ramen. Now, everybody's going to be like, ramen's not very good for you. We all know that. But ramen can be spread to make a meal for a family. So they get a can of tuna as well. So we have people that throw tuna in the ramen and then some peas or something, and they've got a meal for their family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. That's fantastic.
Really, crackers and apples and stuff or?
We try and do, once a month, we try and do tortillas or banana, some kind of fruit or something. But for the most part, it's going to be things like they get a mac and cheese cup, they get ramen, they get milk, they get cereal, and then some snack. We try and do granola bars, things that are hearty for them to help them get through the weekend.
So you're fully aware that the families are taking advantage of this as well, because the way I understood the program is designed for kids to get them who may not have enough nourishment to get them through the weekend, but that families then are kind of relying on that as their source of sustenance for the whole weekend.
Right. So most of these families are depending on breakfast and lunch from the schools. And so they go home on the weekend and they don't have either of those. And there's not much more for the family. So they're stretching these things to make it work for the whole family, to get them through the weekend. And then we also do, when they go into big breaks, Denny does a distribution with bigger boxes of food so they can get through that time.
For like spring breaks,
right?
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a problem that's not just in the underschools. I mean, Scottsdale Community College, for example, has a food bank because a lot of their kids, people don't realize this, all the community colleges do. They've got kids who have the same problem even when they're in college age.
They do.
So
They do.
it's kind of widespread and kind of hidden a little bit, but it's a great service.
It's very difficult to ask for help, but my one thing that I always tell people is nobody should be without food. Nobody ever should be without food. So that's why we have the food bank.
Makes total sense. So how have things changed in recent years? I'm particularly thinking about what the pandemic did to you and what's life like after the pandemic.
The pandemic was both good and bad. It helped us streamline some things that we were doing, and we're doing them a lot more effectively now. It also brought a lot of folks to the table. It also brought a lot of federal dollars that have now disappeared.
That's right.
So that's tough.
Yeah.
One of the biggest changes that I've seen in my time is the housing. The housing crisis is real in Maricopa County,
It is.
and certainly in Scottsdale. And it's very difficult for a family working, at a resort or something to survive in Scottsdale or anywhere in the valley at this point, honestly.
Actually, a national problem.
Exactly.
Home prices
Yeah.
everywhere, but particularly in Scottsdale, where we've talked about this a lot in some of our podcasts. Normal wage earners really can't afford to live there. Teachers, firefighters, police officers.
Right.
So that becomes a problem, and there's no solutions out there right now.
There aren't, but that is one of the things that we always talk to when we're talking to our corporate friends is, you have a vested interest in people being able to live near where you need them to work. Like you have an interest in that because at this point, people aren't going to come from Apache Junction because they can afford to live there to work in a resort in North Scottsdale. So, we're all affected by the things that are happening.
So growing needs, limited financial resources. How do you stay encouraged with all the work you're doing?
It's the stories. It's the people who are so happy to get just that little thing, just one little thing that makes a complete difference in their lives is what keeps me going. Yeah.
Those stories would be enough to keep me going too.
Yeah, right.
There's no
Those are big,
question. That's
impactful.
what would inspire you and motivate you to
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing for sure. What kind of role can other people help? Besides financially,
Yeah.
what else do you look for that could be helpful from people in the community, whether it's businesses or faith groups or just individual citizens?
So we're always looking for groups to do drives for us for different events. We have a back to school event coming up that we need lots of stuff for.
That's your big another one of your big signature events,
That's one
isn't
of
it?
our big
Is that the one
signature
that happens right
events.
before school?
Yeah.
Is that the one where you get the backpacks out?
It is.
Let's talk a little bit about that again,
Okay,
because I think our audiences know how impactful and what a cool event that is.
Sure.
And that's one of my favorite events you guys do. Talk a little bit about that.
So our back to school program is designed to be a shopping experience for kids. So they get to come in and they pick from really high quality stuff. We make sure that we get really high quality new stuff. So they come in, they pick a backpack, they pick their school supplies, they pick socks and underwear, they pick new shoes, they pick a library book that they get to keep, and then they also receive health and dental screenings at that event.
That's great. Yeah.
It's a great event.
That's close to your heart, Kevin, with all the
Yeah.
school stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
for
good-
sure.
Where's that event held at?
So this year it's actually going to be at one of the elementary schools, but we're not
Okay.
entirely sure yet. But yes, one of the elementary schools will be hosting.
Has it been in the stadium in the past?
It has been in the stadium in the past. Yeah, this is a little bit of shift in focus for us. But yeah.
So where do you see things in 5 years?
Oh boy, I wish I had a crystal ball that
We
could
all
tell
do,
me
you
that.
bet.
I know. I just hope that we continue to grow. I hope that we continue to get the right funding, have the right board members, and continue to grow and continue to help more and more people. That's where I want us to be in 5 years.
People want to know more. Where do they find you on the web?
They can find us at scpaz.org.
Okay, that sounds good. I would encourage anybody who has a big heart, wants to pay it forward, and really resonates what we're learning from Jenny today to get involved, check the website out, and make her happy by volunteering a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing about that is when you donate to them or support that group, you get a lot of bang for your buck because I know they operate really thin, but they also have a wide breadth of programming, right? As we know that some of the boards that we serve on are pretty narrowly focused. And this is a really broad swath that they're touching all kinds of people. From
Kids to seniors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you talked about your staff, I think I counted the number of members on one hand.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty lean and mean.
Yep. We're trying to be.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, that's good because it means you're kicking everything back to the community where it's needed the most.
That's the goal. Yep.
What do you do for fun?
I watch crime documentaries.
Oh, you do? Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah.
All right, yeah.
And podcasts.
That's how I relax.
yeah.
Crime documentaries.
You listen to podcasts, now you're going to have to listen to another one coming
Yeah.
up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Your own, right? Right
That's
here.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Well, you're doing a lot of good work. Your organization's a vital part of our community, and we thank you for all the service that you're doing.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Kevin, you got any other questions for Jenny?
No, thanks again. I can't believe we haven't had Scottsdale Community Partners on in the 160 episodes we've done. We should have them on a long time ago because they do a lot of really good work, and we're so familiar with them.
We saved the best for right now. This
That's
is
true.
the best all-time podcast that we've ever done.
We had to wait.
Wow.
Oh,
Do you
here
tell
we go,
everybody
you know?
that?
Yeah.
Or is
Well,
yeah.
don't listen too
Okay,
closely.
okay.
Don't listen too closely. Everyone is the best one we've ever done because they keep getting better and better.
That's great.
And it's only because of people like you.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate it.
thank you for all you're doing. Great conversation. You're doing great work. We sure appreciate everything you're doing, and the community does too.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week, or maybe even more, with another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.